Hi, everyone. Welcome to Less of Me Success Stories. I am your host, Natalie Shamp, and my co-host, Robyn Dobbins, will be running the chat tonight. Hi, Robyn.
Hi, Natalie. At Less of Me Success Stories, we know what it's like to be helpless and hopeless. Your story is not over. You can rewrite it at any time. We provide a platform for people to share their stories and how they reclaim their lives using dietary intervention.
Please do us a favor and share our live link on social media. It means so much to us that you're here, and we love seeing you join the chat. Just as a quick reminder, we are not doctors, just friends sharing stories and experiences. So please talk to your healthcare team before trying any new diet changes. I'm excited for tonight. Tonight, we're joined by a guest who calls himself a survivor of the standard American diet. He was overweight, battled depression, inflammation, and chronic fatigue, only to uncover that he was likely facing type 2 diabetes. Determined to take back his health, he turned to the ketogenic diet, a choice that opened his eyes to the profound connection between what we eat and how we feel. Now he is the genius whipping up Carnicopia, a cookbook that's pure dynamite. He's electrifying X with nearly 53,000 followers, hanging on his every word. He's tearing apart the dusty old lie that animal foods are out to get us, and he's doing it with a megaphone and zero apologies. Please welcome our guest, Cary Kelly. Hi, Cary. We're so honored that you're here with us tonight.
Hi, Natalie, and hi, Robyn. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, so I was telling you backstage that I found you on X. I just by happenstance you came up and you post some really good content. I understand why you have so many followers, and it just I follow you every day. Like I look forward to what's he going to say today? What's he going to post today as far as recipes? And I turned on one of the podcasts that I usually listen to, Life's Best Medicine with Brian Linskus, and you were a guest one day. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's the guy that I follow on X. Oh, I want to know so much more about him. So this is where I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us your story. How did you get involved in keto? What made you go this route? And then what brought you to this cookbook that BTW I absolutely love? Carnicopia, everybody. I don't know if you can see it. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you tell your story.
Okay, well, I spent most of my life a thin person with not a lot of energy. I was always on a blood sugar roller coaster with my highs and lows, and I battled that for most of my adulthood. I stayed pretty thin. I ate basically the standard American diet. I grew up on low fat, very little red meat, lots of chicken, margarine, seed oils, and all that stuff, because my mom believed that, saturated fat and red meat was out to get us. And obviously it's not. And anyway, I lived that life until about the age of 40. I never gained a pound. And once I hit 40, my back just started, was really, it was, I had serious back problems at the age of 40, so bad on my 40th birthday that I had to go to the ER to see what was going on. And they diagnosed me as having osteoarthritis. And anyway, that began the decline of my health, or at least what I thought was my health. I always appeared healthy, but I never really felt healthy. And I didn't realize that until I did feel healthy after, I started my keto diet. So anyway, from age 40 to 48, I was on a steady decline. I was gaining, 3-4 pounds a year. And all of a sudden I'm 210 plus. I stopped weighing myself once I got to 210 because it was just frightening. If I don't see it, then it's not happening. And for context, I'm about 5'10" and a half. So 210 pounds is a good 45 pounds overweight. So anyway, my back pain ruled my life. It metastasized into pain in my feet and my knees, and chronic inflammation was just part of my everyday. I ate ibuprofen every single day I worked, 3 when I get up and another 3 around lunchtime. On my days off, I wouldn't eat any. I would just endure it, and that continued. And of course, depression was an issue. I never felt. I just felt like I was in a rut, and my life was pretty meaningless because all I was doing was just trying to survive today, trying to get through this work day, trying to crawl home and get something to eat, which was usually, takeout or something in the microwave or oven. I never had the energy to cook for myself, and that just made things worse. So around 2018, I'm just before I started keto, I met a guy who came to the store I was working in. I was working in a restaurant, and he was working in a restaurant in Virginia Beach, and got invited to our store to help out because things weren't running so smoothly. Anyway, this guy's name was Todd, and he just randomly started talking to me one day and telling me about the keto diet that he had been on, and which he had lost 50 or 60 pounds over the course of a year. And at the time, it just sounded crazy to me because it defied everything that I had ever been taught about food. Don't eat a bunch of butter and red meat, low salt, lots of fruits and veggies and all of that. And here this guy is telling me that he eats mayonnaise. And I was like, sure, dude. Well, that conversation passed. Todd went back to Virginia, and I lost track of that thought until one day, I would say a few months later, I was walking on an extremely hot day up a hill, and my right arm went numb, and I was sweating profusely, laboring to breathe, and I thought I was having a heart attack or stroke. And I just kept thinking to myself, God, let me get home. I don't want to die out here on the sidewalk and nobody know who I am. And anyway, God or fate or whatever you want to call it, let me get home. And I decided I need to make a change in my life. And the first thing that popped in my head was Todd and his keto diet. So I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to, give it a week, and tomorrow I'm going to start. And I did. It began with bacon and eggs, and I never looked back from that.
That is, yeah, I got a little teary-eyed because I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. That's how I started on my journey, was feeling just so bad. And you say that we don't know how bad we feel until we feel good. I think all of us in this community resonate with that, because I certainly had no idea how bad I was feeling until I felt good. And then I was amazed that you could even feel this good.
Right. We set a bar for normal, and we think, just getting by and having just enough energy to make it through the day is normal, and it's not. I mean, that's nothing compared to, having all day energy and a consistent blood sugar where you're not needing to take a nap around noon every day. That's not normal. And it took me 48 years to realize that.
Agreed. I wish that other folks could feel this way, but this is why we're telling these stories. Now, tell me your experience. You have a large following. How did that happen? How did your X popularity grow? How did you also, with that being said, it's a little bit of a two-part question. How did you become so educated on all of this information? I feel like you're really, your stuff when you're posting.
Well, I started in 2018 on Twitter, or X, and it was slow in the beginning. I was, lucky to get 3 or 4 followers a week at first. But a good friend of mine who I made through Twitter, Kyle Screenack, encouraged me one day. He said, I can't believe you don't have 10,000 followers. I really enjoy your content. And that really made me double down and try even harder, to put out good things that make, people interested, and maybe they'll hear my story, and then I can inspire more people to wake up from the system that just grinds us and milks us. And that's my main way of getting back at the system that kept me from living my best life for so long. I just want to wake up more people, and that's the passion that pushes me on X. That's why I'm insatiable to learn about the cause and effect of these chronic diseases that affect so many of us, and why they're becoming so common, and why nobody wants to tell us the truth. And it's because we're highly profitable when we're sick, and when we're healthy we're not. And that's the bottom line. The other part of your question was well, the more I learn, the I don't know, I never had this passion to learn, even when I was a student, in school, community college dropout. I never really had this desire to learn that I do now, and I credit it to my brain not being inflamed by all the processed foods all the time. Brain inflammation is caused by, or I'm sorry, depression and mental problems is caused by depression. Is caused by inflammation of the brain, and I, now that my brain is working correctly, I just feel like I've got so much learning to make up for that I lost time in the earlier parts of my life. I never tested well. I never had a good focus, and I only really was interested in things that were very interesting to me. Now everything seems interesting to me.
So you say you started with keto because of your friend Todd.
Mm-hmm.
What's your diet like now? How long did you stay keto? Do you consider yourself more of a carnivore now? What's that path like for you?
Currently I'm 95% carnivore. I'm more carnivore than anything else. So I call myself a carnivore 95%. And I eat less than 10 things that aren't carnivore, and I'm not dogmatic about it. I don't force myself to eat things that I don't like. The things that are not carnivore that I eat, they're things that I enjoy, and they just happen to be good for me. Many of them are, probiotic, like pickles and sauerkraut and kimchi. So I'll eat cabbage. I'll eat cucumbers. I'll eat tomatoes, which is not a probiotic. Olives, and peppers. I love peppers, but I don't crave those things all the time. It's probably once or twice a week at the most. And onions, I love onions. That I'll have veggie as a part of my meal, but usually not the focus. I started out as keto, like I said, and I was keto for a good year or so before I just started getting tired of cruciferous veg, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. I just got tired of them. I just wasn't interested in eating them. And part of my philosophy is if it's a chore to eat, then why are you doing it? There's plenty of healthy things that you can eat that you don't have to labor through. And I just grew away from those things and more towards mostly meat and eggs and seafood and a little bit of dairy. I try to be good around dairy because I can gain some weight if I eat too much cream and cheese. A lot of people say that you can eat fat and not get fat, but that's not necessarily true for me. Maybe it is for other people, but my experience is I have to be careful with dairy.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I started out with just simply no sugar, no grains, and then vegetables sort of started tasting chemically to me. Like I lost a taste for them. And so now I just basically eat steak. And I'm with you. If I overeat butter, I can put on pounds real fast. but I also, I don't know, the cheese, I cut cheese out, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I've noticed that I don't crave as many bad things. It caused cravings for me, dairy did. So I thought that was more of a girl thing, like I thought girls a little bit had more trouble with dairy, but that's interesting to know that it happens to maybe all of us. So that makes me happy.
Well, something else, as far as dairy in my relationship goes with it, is that I've gone a month without any dairy, without any cheese, and my skin was the cleanest it's ever been in my adult life. I'll get a little blemish here and there every now and then, and I'm convinced that it's because of dairy. And so that's something to consider too when you're eating these foods.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with the dairy. The more I haven't had it in my life, the less I've missed it. So that's a good thing. And my skin also cleared up. Really, I was thinking, oh, it can't be dairy. Please don't make it be dairy.
Right.
And it's the dairy.
That's our new candy, is what it is.
Yes.
And another thing about tastes is that I feel like our taste buds really sober up after we quit eating all that processed stuff. And maybe it's not that we don't like these certain things anymore. It's maybe that we were never tasting them the way that they're supposed to taste. And now that we taste them with our sense of taste fully aware, we don't like them anymore because of that. And, maybe like certain things that I like now that I didn't like then, like mushrooms and artichokes, but I don't eat them very often. But before I couldn't eat them. Now I can tolerate them because I feel like, my taste buds are different.
Yeah, they definitely bloom. And then tell us that, for example, over Thanksgiving, I had a piece of what I thought was a homemade apple pie sliced with my grandkids. It was so gross that it tasted like chemicals and it tasted like a bowl of sugar. Mm-hmm. And I can promise you that if that would have been 3 years ago, I would have had no problem eating half of that apple pie. Like, who cares? Like it would have made me want more, but now it made me put it down. So yes, definitely the taste buds change. And it's just, it makes everything either taste better or taste worse. So I don't know.
And sweetness is definitely more accentuated. Like I can take a cup of lemon juice and drink it like it's nothing and taste the sweetness in it, or I can taste a little bit of sweetness in scallops or in shrimp even. But and before it wasn't there, and I'm asking myself, has the food changed this much, or have I changed? And the answer is that I have changed.
Definitely. So I would like to know, how did you become? You went from your keto diet to mostly carnivore to an author of a cookbook that, in my opinion, I love it so much. It's very simple. The recipes are simple, easy to follow, and some things in here that I don't know that I've seen before. So I like that all your recipes aren't just cheese and then stuff, because I feel like a lot of carnivore cookbooks, if you will, it's heavy dairy. And
right. They'll cream cheese you to death.
Yes. And I feel like this one is not that. So it's different. So what sets your cookbook, besides what I just said? What made you write this cookbook, and how did you want it to stand out differently than other cookbooks? And also, how did you even come to write a cookbook? Did you just wake up one day and go, I'm kind of a good cook, I'm going to make a cookbook?
My followers encouraged me to put together a cookbook. They were constantly asking me. I would share my, what I was eating and how to make it on Twitter and stuff. And people would ask me, "Do you have a cookbook? Do you have a cookbook? I'll buy it." And I just got tired of people asking me, "Do you have a cookbook?" I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a cookbook. And there was a lot of gentle encouragement from some of my favorite people in the low carb community, like Nina Teicholz and many others who encouraged me. Nina actually told me that doing this will help people, and the sooner I do this, the sooner I can start helping people, and that really got me fired up to to go ahead with this thing. And I'm glad that I did. I'm a big procrastinator when it comes to big projects like this, but after a while, it just seemed to start getting its own momentum, and I got more interested in trying to make different things. And I was putting out a new recipe every 4 or 5 days, and next thing I know, I had over 100 recipes, and I tried to pick the most unique things that people maybe hadn't heard of, a little twist on this or that. And I'm the kind of person that when I look at a recipe, and if it's got all these weird things in it, or it needs me to have all these weird utensils or mixers and whatnot, then I stop reading it. I like to have very simple ingredients and simple techniques that I can just whip together really quick. And I thought that might appeal to people, and I guess it does.
It definitely does. So do you have any restaurant experience, or, have you been around food? Like, I know I can barely throw a steak on a grill. So nobody will be asking me to write a cookbook anytime soon. So how, did you evolve from the food business, or did you just go, I'm a pretty good cook, and it looks good if I take a photo, it looks pretty good.
I cooked for 28 years in the restaurant industry. It all started with a part-time job as a dishwasher at Hooters, the wing place. And 30 days later, I was the kitchen manager because, I had a good work ethic and everybody else didn't. And I just kind of found myself in that situation. And next thing I know, 28 years went by, and I worked all kinds of Italian and Asian, and did every job in the restaurant just about except general manager. And that exposed me to a lot of different things. I worked in a steakhouse, and I didn't know how to cook a rare or medium rare or well done steak. And I learned on the job. I would flip the steak over and cut it open with a steak knife and look inside. And I did that hundreds of times until I got to be able to where I could just feel the steak or look at the steak and know what it was, what temperature it was, without having to cut it. And I got a lot of ideas from doing that, and it taught me how to improvise and create my own recipes, because if you work in one place long enough, you get tired of the food, the way it's served, the way it's made, and you start learning how to tweak things and cater it to my specific tastes. So that made it pretty easy for me to look at normal food now as a keto low carb person and say, how can I make that so that I can eat it? And it was just, take this out, add this, replace this with that, and, get the carbs low, get the junk out. And next thing you know, I got a recipe book.
How did you run across Nina Teicholz? How did she become part of your orbit, and how did she know you enough to advocate for your cookbook coming from you?
I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed. My blessing started with the guy named Todd. I honestly feel like he was an angel sent to help me in my time of need, and I never even had a chance to thank the guy. I feel like Nina is kind of the same thing. She had a lot of influence on me, obviously, because of her book. It was the first or second book. Her and Jason Fung's Obesity Code were one of the first books that I read when I came into this circle and started craving knowledge. And Nina, I followed, and I made some comments on her posts and stuff, and she befriended me and started following me, and that's, like I said, I feel very fortunate that she had time for me, and she's an awesome person.
That is, that's so cool. I love that so much. Now let's go back a little bit and talk about you and your health. Did you get blood work done like the day, you were struggling to get up the hill or down the hill or back home? Did you, did you seek medical treatment? And then after that, did you have follow-up? Has anything changed? That sort of thing.
I did not seek medical attention. I've had a very extreme distrust of the medical system. And it began when I went to the hospital when I was 40, and the doctor told me I had osteoarthritis and that I was just going to have to get used to it. Here, take some Motrin. You can't have any narcotics, which I'm glad he didn't give me. Physical therapy's on the table, but I really can't say that you're going to change your life. Your back isn't bad enough to get surgery, so deal with it. And that really pissed me off with the medical system at that point. And a few years after that, I had an accident where I fell and I thought I broke some ribs and maybe punctured a lung even. So I went to the ER, and they gave me an ibuprofen, a breathing test in a plastic bag that was 50 cents worth of plastic, and 3 x-rays. And I didn't have insurance, and they charged me $3,000. And that right there made me say, you know what, I'd rather die with a few dollars than go into debt for the rest of my life for whatever God knows what they're going to charge me for. And so no, I didn't go to the doctor. I don't recommend other people do what I did, but that's how it happened. So I never really had any formal diagnosis.
Because we don't need a diagnosis to tell us that we're feeling good, right? Once we've
Right.
gotten to that point, right? And then I've read somewhere that you started running marathons. So you went from not being able to make it home from your little walk to kind of like this badass marathon guy.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. And I'll start with saying that my inspiration for running 15 half marathons in a year and over 1,000 miles in 1 year was my mother had cancer and stage 4, and I felt like if I could do something miraculous, maybe something miraculous could happen to my mother. And that's what made me run as much as I ran. And I kept, this is for my mom. I can do this. If I can do this, she can beat cancer. And it didn't work out that way, but it showed me that my potential is limitless, even, at the age of 52 or 54, 55, whatever I am, if I just put my mind and dedicate myself and work hard and be consistent and get a little bit better every day. For context, I hadn't run a single mile from the age of 18 to 52. And it started with me running a half mile down to the store one day. And then I watched guys like Chris O'Connell, who I spoke of before, running at the age of 57, 58 years old and acting like a teenager. And I'm like, you know what, I want to act like a teenager too. So I got the running bug, and it was pretty cool.
Are you still running?
I don't run as much. What I'm doing now is I just find running long distance so time consuming, and I don't really get the benefit out of it that I can get if I do sprints. Dr. Sean Baker's really big on sprints, and since the winter is really bad and it's hard to be outside sprinting, I've been getting on the assault bicycle and doing 5 minutes of pedaling along real idle speeds, and then doing 8 to 10 second sprints every minute, and I'll do 5 sets of those. That's my running now, and It feels really good though to purge all the glycogen storage out of my body. I can really tell the next day. I just feel lighter on my feet, and I feel like the ketones are really flowing in me after I do that.
So do you lift weights or do any, like, what is your exercise regimen? Do you have?
I'm into resistance training. I'll do that 4 or 5 days a week. I'll go for 35 minutes in the morning twice a week, and then twice a week I'll go an hour 15 minutes, and then another time if I have a little bit of extra time, I'll go for about 45 minutes. But it's a real casual routine. I don't like get in there and do it like I'm doing HIIT stuff, just interval nonstop stuff. It's real casual, and I feel pretty good about it.
Oh, that's good. Now, are you still in the restaurant business?
No, I stopped, let's see, about 3 years ago, and pursued something that I'd always wanted to do, which was go into butchering, cutting meat and steaks and stuff like that. And I was blessed again, fortunate to get a job as an apprentice, and that's what I'm doing today. It's a lot different now, serving people things that they can heal themselves on, as opposed to making them chronically ill like I was before in the restaurant business, because everything was full of seed oils and sugar and God knows what else. So it's a little bit different pace. It's a lot slower. It's less stressful too. Plus I get to help people, so that's cool.
That is cool. And you're like in the mothership.
Right.
For all of us who are like, we want to work there too.
Yeah,
That's
right.
awesome.
I get 10% off my meat too.
Oh my God, you can't beat that.
I can't.
Yeah. Do they, so the folks that you work with are they interested in your cookbook? Are they supportive of what's going on? And
oh, they made me give them copies of my cookbook, but they're mostly they'll listen to me and hear me and know better, but they can't pull themselves away from the sugar and the donuts and the all the other stuff. And when they start complaining about being tired and this and that, and I'll say, well, you know why, don't you? And they'll like, yeah, we know. And so we have an understanding, but I can't save them unless they want to help, unless they want to save themselves.
that's true for all of our friends and family that see our change, notice our change, but for some reason they're not interested in the change for themselves. You talk a lot about, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but I know that you make some statements on X quite a bit about your family members that you share a home with, that you wish that they would get on this, track with you. I thought you made a really interesting point in something that I was listening to you on, about how much garbage that you don't have as much garbage as the rest of your household, right? So your
Right.
imprint on the world is quite a bit less than everybody else.
Yeah, I'll fill up one small white garbage bag a week, and it's 2 to 3 bags of garbage for each of the other people in my house. So double and triple the amount of garbage every week is from their bags and their boxes and all the other styrofoam nonsense that they can't pull themselves away from.
Yeah, that's I guess marketing and the way they make this food, it's meant to be, makes you just want to stop. And also they sell convenience of it all, right? Like just on the drive-through home, or it'll be ready for you when you get here, and all you have to do is walk inside and pick it up, or we'll just deliver it right to your door now. They've just
Right.
made it so darn easy.
Convenience is a cage.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I have a couple of things from your cookbook that I wanted to ask you about. We'll switch back to that. I don't know if anyone sat a good, there's kind of a glare, but this is the book. It is so good. I wanted to ask you about, you talk a lot about your probiotic mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Well, I've tinkered with mayo replacements before, and everybody tells me, just make your mayonnaise with olive oil or make it with avocado oil, and I don't like how they taste. I've tried all the, the Kensington and the Chosen Foods and Primal and all that stuff, and they just have a really bad aftertaste to me. So I've tinkered with a lot of different mayos, and the probiotic mayo is my latest creation, and the one that I've been using for just about everything, because it's a great base to make things like, like a Big Mac sauce, if you like that, or a tartar sauce, or a ranch type dressing. And it's just sour cream with a little bit of kefir, and then some seasonings like garlic powder, onion powder, and salt. And it's just so easy to make, and it's a great replacement for, that time when you're craving something with a little bit of mayo on it, like tuna salad or chicken salad, or a sauce for your burger. I eat burgers all the time, and just the meat and the cheese and the bacon, it gets a little bit old sometime unless you're really, really hungry, and the probiotic mayo is really nice for that.
Yeah, I kind of drool over that. I like a dip. And so that one, I'm going to try it. I have not yet tried it, but I'm going to.
You don't have to put the kefir in it. You can put heavy cream in it or a little bit of milk just to thin it out. Right. So it's not going to be probiotic, but I mean, you're not getting massive probiotic benefits from a tablespoon of kefir in it anyway. But having the kefir is nice because I've been drinking it more regularly, trying to see what it does for my gut microbiome, because, probiotics and all that. And I can't tell if it's helping me, doing anything better for me, but it's definitely not hurting. My gut's pretty calm now, so I guess I can't complain.
I was going to ask you what you've noticed about that, because I thought about trying kefir. I'm able to have raw kefir. I think you can have raw milk where you're from too, right? It's not.
I can, but I have to go to a special place across town and pay massive deposits. I do occasionally, but I can't control myself around raw milk. It is so good. It's like a room temperature milkshake, and I'll just want to drink the half gallon in a day or two. And so I limit myself to a couple times a year. I just love it too much.
Oh, I don't love milk at all. So, but I was thinking the kefir might, I don't know. I'd like to have a turbo boost in my gut.
Mm-hmm.
I feel okay, but there's always a next level.
It's kind of like a sour cream, but like watered down a little bit, and it has a little bit of tang to it. You're either gonna not like it, or I'm not gonna say you'll love it, but it's just got a little bit of tang to it that makes it different. Is the best way to explain it. So just buy a small amount and try it. You might or might not like it.
Yeah. I'm told that it doesn't have enough probiotic in it to make a difference, to change your, to help anything. But I don't know.
Maybe, but I feel like some is better than none. I mean, the little bacteria in our gut is tiny, so a tablespoon has got to feed, hundreds of thousands, or even, a million of them. So that's something in my book.
Yeah. What if I only had one? You never know.
Right.
So this is one of my favorite things that I've seen, because, with the brisket, I feel like briskets are an overwhelming piece of meat to think about cooking. Well, at least for me. So you have Instapot skewered briskets, and I have a question about the recipe. They also look super delightful. Do you leave that thick layer of fat on there when you put it in the Instapot, or do you trim some of that off? That's where my struggle comes with the brisket.
I love the fat. And I
Okay.
say, excuse me, leave the fat on. You can always not eat it, but it's like, I don't know, like a cross between Jello and butter to me. The fat on the brisket is the best part. I'll take some of the lean parts and eat some of the extra fatty part with it, so that I'm not just eating a big blob of fat. So that's how I kind of get around that. But no, the fat is amazing. That's
Yeah,
like the best part of the brisket to me.
I think so too, but cooking it, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, is this going to turn out right? Am I going to burn the fat before the meat cooks, kind of a thing? So I love this little, the brisket skewers. I love that.
Mhm.
I just want to interject that you showed me like a bowl of fat that you cook, that beef fat. So
Yeah.
I don't think that you should be overwhelmed at all by the fat cap on a brisket.
Well, I'm not afraid of eating the fat. I'm afraid, or cooking that. I'm afraid of messing up the whole brisket because I've got this layer of fat to think about before you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to adjust the temps on both of them. So,
Well, if you're in an instant pot, that high pressure heat is everywhere. So it's just going to cook it from the inside out all the way around, and that the fat isn't going to be bothered at all. As long as you have liquid in there, nothing's going to burn. It's just going to melt slowly, and yeah, you'll love it. If you can eat a bowl of fat, you can eat the brisket fat that renders down.
yeah. Well, I have to make the fat very crispy. I do not like it jello-y. I think that's kind of gross.
Mhm.
Now, okay, I have more questions about the cookbook, but one, do you have a favorite recipe?
Probably my most used recipe is the hamburger hash one. Sometimes I call it a bird's nest. You make some ground beef, and then you put some eggs on top of it and add bacon or cheddar cheese with some over easy eggs or some sunny side up eggs, and the egg yolks melting into all those other ingredients is always great when you're hungry. That's probably one of my favorites. And I love to make the meatloaf too, because I'll make a big meatloaf, and the next day I'll cut big slabs of meatloaf and put bacon and cheese on them, or just eat them cold. I can eat meatloaf cold all the time. For some reason, it's really good. So those are probably my two favorites. Ground beef is awesome.
It's easy for sure. And then you have several desserts in here that I also like, although I'm afraid of desserts because I'm afraid I'll make it an every night habit. But I love the brownie dessert that you have, this little no flour brownie.
Mm-hmm.
How long did that take you to perfect?
I probably had to try 3 or 4 different things. That was pretty easy because I saw a microwave brownie that somebody made on YouTube or something. So I tweaked some ingredients and made it so that you can bake it, because I'm suspicious of microwaves. I know a lot of people say that it's bad, but I'm not convinced either way. But I'm just going to err on the side of caution and cook things in the oven like Grandma did. And the more I do things like Grandma did, the better off I'm going to be, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's what we all need to get back to, right?
Right.
There's 2 quotes that you have in your cookbook that I love. They're just, they're concise, but they hit the mark. And one is, don't blame the candles, blame the cake. And the other is, the best remedy is on your plate and not in your medicine cabinet, which I love both of those. What brought you to those, to put them in your book? One of them's in the cover page and one of them's in the description, as you well know.
Well, the don't blame the candles, blame the cake was, I saw a post one time, probably 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, where somebody said something about, I'm getting too old. This but I'm going to celebrate with this cake and blah 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 or something. And I'm like, the cake isn't the problem, or the candles aren't the problem. It's the cake that the problem is. You're not too old. You're just treating your body poorly, and I don't know. It just wrote itself for me one day, and I liked it, so I made sure to save it. And what was the other one?
It was
Oh, the medicine cabinet
the
one.
medicine. Yeah.
Somebody was talking about all the stuff in their medicine cabinet, and I was like, you know what? I got spices and cologne and salt in mine, so I was like, what was it that made me convert my medicine cabinet into, you know, things for food? And it was pretty much because of what I had on my plate. So that's how that came about.
Yeah. Good point. Now, can you ever find Todd again?
I don't know. The more time goes by, the harder it is, because he was in his late 50s then, and so he's going to be 65-ish now or more. But I don't know. I feel like I said, it was an angel, God, fate, or whatever sent them to me at the right time, and maybe that's what's important. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I've helped people, and I don't know that I helped them, so that's my way of you know, paying Todd back, you know, paying it forward.
Yeah. I like that. That's sweet. I'm sure he would be ultimately or uber proud of you, because you are reaching a lot of people with what you have to say, and you are educated with what your responses are and the content that you put out, in my opinion. And I love hearing about it. And I also read somewhere that you might be putting out a second cookbook. How is that one gonna, if that's true, it could be a rumor. How is that going to be different from this cookbook that you have out now?
Well, I just, every time I make something new, I write it down. I have a recipe sharing site on WordPress where everything is, and I just keep stashing stuff there. So, you know, I have options to write another recipe book possibly. And the only reason I really said that was I didn't think I was going to write this one, and when I did and saw, you know, I was selling thousands of copies, I was like pretty blown away by it. And so I'm like, you know, why not write another one if I get enough content for it? And that's the biggest thing that I need to happen. I need to have enough original ideas to, you know, where I have something to offer. So I'll just keep saving, you know, the recipes, the new ideas that I get, and we'll see what happens from there.
How did you put this one out yourself, like a self?
I had a person on X who helped me out immensely with it. Her name is Sarah Holy, and she had a degree in graphic design or something like that back in college, and she offered to help me with this, and I had a vision, and she brought it to life. She did all the layouts and making the pictures pop and the cover after I told her what I wanted, and I'm blessed again that, you know, had another angel help me with this project.
Well, I feel like you're giving to the community and they want to give back to you.
That's exactly what happened. There was several people that offered to help me with this project.
That's pretty, over social media. Isn't that cool?
Right.
I think that's
changing your life over social media. Imagine that.
I know, that's so crazy. Is there anything else you want to tell people about yourself?
Not necessarily. I mean, just that it's up to us to keep telling our story and telling people that, you know, what you think is normal might not be normal, that You can change your life very easily by changing the food you put in your body, and just try it. Keep telling your story. That's the only way people are going to get it, because the system is against them.
No truer words ever spoke. Robyn has a couple of questions.
Sure.
All right. In the chat, Kelly has asked, what are your plans for the future? Which you kind of touched on, but anything else happening?
I don't have any specific plans. Like I said, maybe write another cookbook. I want to get buff in the gym, so I'm going to continue working hard on that, and just try to keep helping people. That's what makes me feel best. What makes me feel like I have a purpose, helping people wake up.
And to that end, I have questions, because I also, just like Natalie said, I know you through X, and I know that you're a member, maybe a founding member, I'm not sure, of the Carnivore group that's on X. And then I also know we've had Julie Backhouse on the show previously, and she's in that 100 Club, and I believe you're in the 100 Club as well. So can you tell us more about both of those groups?
To be fair, I'm in those groups and I associate with a lot of those members, but Mark Eats Meat is the founding member, and I know a lot of the moderators there, but I'm not part of the founding members or anything like that. But that's a great community, and I know tons of the people from there. The 100 Club, it's just a bunch of guys who like to, get in the gym and do their thing, like, improve their bodies and their lives. And don't have a really big presence in that one either. I try to stay busy, but I don't have as much time as I would like to, have more impact in those communities.
But it's just good to know that they exist, and that if we need to find you, we know where you are.
Definitely. And I constantly refer people to those communities, because it gives them a better sense of community. And that's something that we all need when we're, trying to do, change our lives and be the outlier. People feel really alone when they're doing these things.
I couldn't agree more. That's something I'm really passionate about, is creating community. So I've got some things on the fire. Hopefully they'll pan out for some more community. We all just need each other all the time. Another question just rolled in. Wait a second, I have to read it. It says, it's from our friend Ken, and he said, how did you get started as a butcher? Because he's late. I know you talked about it a little bit, but let's tell Ken how you got started as a butcher.
Well, I saw an ad. I was daydreaming about getting out of the restaurant business because it's a really benefitless job. The cash is good, but you don't get vacations or health care or none of that stuff. It's a grind them up and spit them out industry, and I wanted something that gave me a little bit of security. And I got lucky and saw an ad for an apprentice for being a butcher at a local grocery store, and I just reached out, and I was blessed again. I was fortunate that they called me and gave me an interview and liked me and gave me a shot at doing this at the age of 52. Most places, they want younger people that are going to be with them for 10, 20, 30 years, but they took a shot at me, and I'm fortunate.
So I'll admit, I don't have your cookbook. Do you talk about like different cuts of meat and how to prepare them, since you kind of have this knowledge as from being a butcher in your book?
I don't in the book. I do that on Twitter. I've done that quite a bit on Twitter, and figuring how to get that content and present it in a book is something that I've thought about doing, but I haven't figured out how to do with grace and, fluidity, and for it to be cool, So that's something that I'm thinking about, and I would like to do in the future, but currently no, that's not in the cookbook.
And that would be interesting. And you keep talking about how you've been blessed. I think that will wash over you when the time is right. It will wash over you, and it will flow out of your fingers and onto the page.
I hope so.
And Ken asked a follow-up question. I'm sorry.
No.
Ken asked a follow-up question that says, do you have a brand of knives or a type of knife that's best for using on butchering primal cuts?
I like Victorinox, Victorinox. It's the company that makes the Swiss Army knife. They have very quality blades. I've had their chef knife for about 7 years now, and I use it almost every day. And I use their butchering knives at work, and I love their stuff. You're going to pay $50 to $100 for a good butchering knife, but it's something that's going to last you a long time. I really like their stuff, and I've gone through and tried a lot of different cheap knives, and they're garbage. Spend $30 on a knife and use it for 6 months, and it ends up in the back of the drawer. But Victorinox I highly recommend them.
I am glad he asked that question, because I will add that to our show notes as well. But we go through knives like crazy around here. They break. They're just so. Thank you for that great recommendation.
Right, and there's so many knives out there that cost a lot of money. It's intimidating to which one do I get? I don't know. You don't want to waste your money, but Victorinox is middle of the road for price, and it lasts.
And also there is this cookbook I think it's called Meat. I don't remember. They're selling that thing for $50.
Wow.
And all it is how to cook meat, different types of meat in the whole cookbook.
Mm.
So there you go. That can be your next $1 idea.
Well, I was thinking of a cookbook called Just Salt. Just, that being the only ingredient needed for all the recipes in the book, which is along the same lines as that. So
$50.
The question is, right. The question is, can I come up with enough ideas to call it a book?
Right. I love that so much. You're very creative. I love your dishes. Some of the folks watching tonight have also purchased your cookbook. Do you know what your stats are? Does it matter?
Does it, my stats, you said?
Like for your cookbook, are you, does it continue to keep selling, or, how's it going?
Well, the honeymoon phase was the first month and a half, and I sold like 1,500 copies the first couple months, and the last month has slowed down. I've only sold about 1,000, but I've already far exceeded my expectations. So it's all gravy at this point for me. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It really is. I love it. And it's just I just love how simple it is. For me, I have one question, and I know Robyn has another question. I'd like to know about the cheesecake. That's my kryptonite. I love cheesecake so much. Is it a hard recipe for someone who has 3 thumbs in the kitchen?
I would recommend you just make the fluff part of it. I make this more than I should. It was just heavy cream, mascarpone, cheese, a little bit of allulose or stevia, whatever you like, and did I say heavy cream? And you just whip that up, and it just makes this fluff that's like a tastes a little bit like a cheesecake filling, but it's really fluffy, and it's light, and you don't get a big sugar spike or blood glucose spike from it, and it doesn't make you want to go buy a bag of chips after you eat it. That's one of my favorite things. And sometimes I'll put a scoop of cocoa cocoa powder, 100% in there, and it'll be like a chocolate mousse. But that's if you've got or 5 thumbs or whatever, just try that. That's really simple. It's hard to mess up. And you just take um an immersion blender and blend it until it thickens up.
Okay.
It's great.
And then where do you get the marzipan? How do you say that?
Well, the Italians say it mascarpone,
Yeah.
but most people just call it mascarpone.
Okay.
But if you have a specialty cheeses part in your grocery store, it's usually there. Like where they have grated Parm cheese and imported cheddar cheeses and stuff like that's where mine is in my store. I know it's not in my dairy section where all the other cheeses are for some reason, but you could just ask somebody in the grocery store and they should know.
I see that you talk about that a lot on X, and then you have the cookbook, and I don't think I know what that is. So,
well, here's the thing: you don't have to use that. You can use regular cream cheese if you like.
oh, okay. Okay. Now
But I like the flavor of the mascarpone, and it has a few less carbs in it, as well as fewer ingredients in it. So there's that.
Okay, I like that idea. Okay, and I think Robyn has one other question. Yes.
Yeah, I do. But I just want to add, like, it's really hard to find a cream cheese that doesn't have all the gums in it. Even your name brand Philadelphia cream cheese it's not really cheese. It's skim milk with a bunch of sticky stuff added to it. So there's a couple of brands of cream cheese, but they are very hard to find. Tillamook has a cream cheese. It's not everywhere. It's hard to find, but it's really good. So the mascarpone's a very good alternate cheese to use, and every store should have that. It's usually like in our Kroger, there's a specialty cheese area that's completely separate from where like you buy just sandwich cheese, but it's not really near it's kind of near the deli, but not really near the deli, and it's got a special case. So but it's everywhere. I've seen them in most grocery stores. So.
I bet you when I see it, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, that's it.
But it's in a tub. It's not like a wrapped cheese. It's in a tub. Yeah.
My family owns a cheese factory. You would think I might even know that, but I don't. And
that's okay.
I know. And I am able to get a really good cream cheese that's doesn't have a bunch of junk in it. And it's expensive, and it doesn't taste the same as like a Philadelphia cream cheese, probably because there's not a bunch of crap in it. So yeah.
Okay. We've been trained to eat the stuff that we thought was the real thing, and it wasn't actually the real thing all of this time. Carolyn said that she's actually seen it at Costco.
Well, isn't that interesting? I feel
so there you go. You can get a huge tub and eat so much cheesecake that you won't be able to. We don't even want to go down that road.
No.
So anyway, Ken had another follow-up question that he may have thought I missed, but he was asking if there's any secret to keeping these knives sharpened, or is it just because they're really good knives, or do you do something special to keep them nice and sharp?
Don't chop. Don't beat your cutting board with the knife. Just realize that there's a very, very fine edge, and the more ginger you are when you're cutting into the cutting board, the better the blade is going to stay sharp. We have or they have steels that you can use where you can sharpen the knife and straighten out the edge and get rid of the dings in it. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that can show you how to use a steel, and that's not going to make a bad blade sharp, but it can help a good blade stay sharp. I guess that's the best way to say it. So if you have a decent blade, don't expect to take your old $30 kitchen knife and make it super sharp with a steel, but if you've got a decent knife, I think they're a great investment to help keep your knife sharp.
Great, thank you. That is, well, actually, we're running out of time, so that will be our last question from the chat. I'm turning it back over to you, Natalie.
Thanks, Ken, because I think we all need good knives in our kitchen. So thanks for that question. So Cary, tell us where people can purchase your cookbook and where they can find you.
The cookbook is on Amazon. It's Carnicopia, the meat-based cookbook your doctor doesn't want you to read. And that's the only place it's available right now. I'm on X. I'm also on YouTube. I don't post as much on YouTube because they're always screwing with my videos, telling me it's restricted for whatever reason. So I don't post there a lot. It's Cary Kelly's Carnicopia on YouTube. And that's pretty much it. I have a little presence on TikTok and Instagram, but I don't post there very much either. So mostly on X is the best place to get me.
Now we have one final question, pardon me, that we ask all of our guests. And here's the question. There's no right or wrong answer, by the way. What is one piece of advice that you would give someone who is just starting their health journey?
Well, the obvious thing would be to eat like your great grandparents ate, to eat real food, as few ingredients as possible, and make your own food. If you can do that, you're going to eliminate a lot of garbage out there. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Everything in the middle is pretty much junk unless it's salt or toilet paper, or a few oils. I would just encourage people to get the ultra processed foods out of your diet.
That's where we have to start. Yes, Robyn has a question.
Not a question. I forgot to say, when you were talking about having a new cookbook called Salt, everyone in our chat was like, yes, please do that. So some encouragement from our fans for you before we sign off.
All right.
Buy salt and get meat free. See, the two cookbooks. Cary, I'm really appreciative of you agreeing to come on to our little podcast tonight and sharing your story and all of your secret recipes and tips. And we'll just make that the final word for tonight. And we appreciate you. So on behalf of Cary Kelly, Robyn Dobbins, and myself, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.